The story kicks off in a massive room of the royal palace, where a woman named Origin is calmly reading a fairy tale to her daughter, Ellen. Her gentle voice sets the scene, describing an ancient kingdom where people actually lived in harmony for once. However, that peace was short-lived because a horde of monsters invaded and absolutely wrecked the place. Facing total annihilation, the king begged his strongest spirit for help. He asked her to use her power to back up the hero leading the defense. Even with backup, the hero couldn't win. Totally exhausted, he told the spirit to just release everything she had at once. She obliged, unleashing a blast of energy so intense it deleted every single monster from existence. But the price was steep, and the hero was fatally wounded. Refusing to let him croak, the spirit dragged him to her realm, swearing she'd bring him back one day. The people waited for his return, believing the promise, but the guy essentially ghosted them. Years later, the scene cuts to a man holding his son, while a woman finishes telling that exact same story. The curious kid asks what happened to the hero. Ellen replies with total conviction that he's already back. Her dad, Roval, shushes her so he can order some kebabs. Ellen stares him down, asking when he's going home. He just answers in a tired tone that it's not exactly easy. Roval grabs the food and dips, having no clue that someone in the crowd just recognized him. A guy yells his name, and the people around start whispering immediately. Sensing trouble, Roval bolts through the busy streets trying to save his skin. Realizing he's being chased, he ducks into a dark alley thinking he found a hiding spot. But the alley is a dead end, and he gets cornered by the mob. Before they can grab him, he suddenly teleports, vanishing into thin air. Leaving them confused, Roval pops up under a bridge gasping for air, where Ellen is just staring at him. She asks why he's avoiding everyone, and the guy starts crying. He admits that the world turned him into some legendary hero while he was gone. And now he has no clue how to handle the fame. Seeing him sob like a toddler, Ellen figures the rumor that he spent years in a coma must have been true. But the truth was a little different. Origin nursed him back to full health, and they actually fell in love. They eventually got married, and Roval became a half-spirit, though his powers were pretty glitchy. Origin patiently trained him for years until he stopped sucking at magic, so they could return to the human world. Ellen watches this and realizes that despite being Roval's kid, she also remembers a past life. She used to be a Japanese scientist in her previous body. Back then, she spent her days running experiments with elements, obsessed with creating new stuff. Now she uses that big brain to train beside her dad, trying to control her own magic. While she observes him, Roval grumbles that people are going to freak out over his teleporting. Ellen thinks he should just say hi and clear things up, but Roval is terrified of social interaction. Suddenly, Alberto, Roval's old bodyguard, appears out of nowhere. Roval tries to run away, but Alberto blocks him immediately. He plants a firm hand on his shoulder. Ellen looks on curiously and asks who the guy is. Roval nervously pivots to bragging about how talented and cute his daughter is to distract him. Alberto quietly chuckles and agrees that the kid is actually adorable. Before explaining why he's here, he reveals that Roval's family, the House of Duke Vanry, is anxiously waiting for him. Roval is shocked by the Duke title. Alberto explains the kingdom granted it to the family as a reward for beating the monsters. He adds that Roval's younger brother, Swable, is currently running the show. Roval coldly replies that they definitely don't need him. Alberto insists he come back, explaining that Swable's husband, Agil, is causing major drama. That name startles Roval. Alberto says the royal family forced Swable to marry Agil, and he couldn't refuse. Intrigued and holding back rage, Roval decides he needs to meet this woman. Alberto realizes his friend hasn't changed a bit and decides to drop the subject. Ellen hears every word. She glares at her dad, thinking he's acting like his family doesn't matter, while Roval tries to justify himself. She says she hates him, causing his heart to break as he begs her. He promises Alberto he'll go home if she stops hating him. Ellen crosses her arms and reluctantly agrees, and they hop in a carriage heading to the mansion. During the trip, Ellen asks Alberto who exactly Agil is. He explains she's the second princess and Roval's former fiancée. Apparently, Agil was super arrogant and treated the engagement like she was doing him a favor. Thinking Roval would die in battle, she broke the commitment without a second thought. Years later, seeing the family become dukes, she came crawling back and forced a marriage with his brother. Alberto admits he's furious Roval stayed away so long, leaving everyone else to deal with the consequences of her mess. Roval realizes Alberto just wants him back to kick Agil out of the house. Alberto confirms it, explaining she's bankrupting the family with her wild spending habits. Before going to the mansion, Roval decides to make a pit stop at a church. The priest inside is totally shocked to see him alive. Roval approaches and demands a wedding ceremony immediately. The confused priest asks if he wants to hold it in the capital instead, but Roval says it has to be now. The priest stops arguing and starts prepping. Ellen watches curiously, asking why he's in such a rush to marry again in the human world. He replies that he needs to stop Agil from proposing again. When the priest asks for the bride, Roval explains she's coming directly from the spiritual realm. He calls her, a portal rips open, and Origin falls through the glow right into her husband's arms. Roval apologizes for the cheap, last-minute wedding, but Origin smiles, just happy to reunite with him in the human world. Ellen beams with joy, while the priest and Alberto stand there completely speechless. Roval explains his wife is a spirit, and he became a half-spirit just to be with her. Origin says hi, and Alberto finally remembers seeing her fighting on the battlefield years ago. Once ready, the priest asks the couple to exchange their vows. They look at each other tenderly and accept. After signing the papers, Origin leans in and kisses her husband in front of everyone. Loving the vibes, Ellen raises her hands and demands they both do the same. They obey, not really understanding why. The girl summons Platinum, shaping a pair of shining rings that fit perfectly on their fingers. She smiles, explaining that finger connects to the heart and symbolizes the union of lovers. Then she creates actual diamonds from carbon, adding sparkling crowns to the rings. Finally, she makes it rain delicate diamond dust, ending the ceremony in a flashy way. The newlyweds are moved, and celestial light hits the ceiling as goddesses descend to bless them. With spirits watching, the priest declares the marriage official. Ellen smiles, showing off her mastery of elements, while Alberto watches in pure admiration. He never imagined Roval's kid could do something that crazy. Before leaving, Roval tosses the leftover diamonds to the priest as a tip. Alberto, still stunned, praises Ellen, which makes her dad swell with pride. However, Roval's goofy smile embarrasses the girl, who looks away, unsure whether to laugh or cringe. Alberto quickly congratulates the newlyweds once more. Roval thanks him, then seriously asks Origin to take Ellen back to the spiritual realm so Agil doesn't find out. Ellen is confused, but sees in her dad's eyes that he's desperate to protect them. Even though they'll be apart, Roval explains she can watch him through a magic mirror, and Origin calmly nods. When Origin mentions she wants to burn Agil to ashes, the ground shakes from their sheer hatred for that woman. Roval calls Agil their enemy and worries the royals might try to arrange a marriage for Ellen. Alberto finds that ridiculous since Ellen is literally a child. Roval shot that down immediately. His daughter was too precious to risk. Explanation over, Origin waved goodbye as her husband walked to the carriage with Alberto. However, Roval panicked and looked back, desperate to stay. Origin saw the fear in his eyes and told him to man up and keep his promise. With one final look, he left. Mother and daughter hopped back into the spiritual realm, hunting for the magic mirror to spy on Roval's journey. In the carriage, Alberto felt bad for his friend, remembering just how cruel Agil actually was. That woman forced the marriage, then treated him like absolute garbage. As her attitude got worse, Roval got sick of it. When the monsters invaded, he used it as the perfect excuse to dump her, claiming it was too dangerous. Furious about the rejection, Agil sent Roval and his dad to the front lines. The old man died in battle, so Origin dragged Roval to the spiritual realm for safety. Snapping out of the flashback, Alberto was surprised by how much his master had changed. He wondered if living in that other world finally helped Roval find some happiness again. Clasping his hands, he muttered an apology for failing to control Agil. Knowing how crazy she was, Roval didn't blame him. Alberto had always been loyal, so he didn't deserve to carry that guilt. Roval admitted it was partly his fault for leaving Alberto to deal with everything. He told him to let it go. As they drove through the city, the family had put up banners celebrating the hero's return. Seeing the crowd's excitement, Roval actually smiled. It was a genuine smile. When the carriage reached the mansion, a massive crowd was waiting. The gates slowly creaked open, and they stopped at the entrance. Roval and Alberto stepped out, and the hero greeted everyone happily. He said it was good to be back. The crowd went wild with applause as he turned to leave. At the door, the head butler and maids were lined up perfectly. They bowed, thanking him for returning in one piece. The polite butler invited him inside, but before he could take a step, an excited female voice shrieked from upstairs, vibrating with the news of his return. A woman sprinted down the stairs, got too excited seeing Roval, and lost her balance, tumbling down the steps like a sack of potatoes. The butler stayed silent, ignoring the embarrassment, while Roval just watched in shock, trying to process the wipeout. He wondered who the clumsy idiot was. The butler sighed and revealed it was Lady Agile. Agile tried to hug him, but Roval stepped back immediately, clearly repulsed by her appearance and desperate behavior. His cold reaction panicked the butler, but Agile completely ignored the rejection. With a forced smile, she claimed her father forced her to marry Roval's brother. Totally delusional, she thought the hero came back just to marry her. Roval, however, gave her the cold shoulder, making it clear he wasn't interested. Back in the spiritual realm, Origin watched the scene, feeling the rage build up. Before she could intervene, Ellen reminded her not to torch the castle. Origin took a deep breath, praising her daughter for being the voice of reason. That ended the first episode. Agile calls for her daughter, who asks who the strange man is. Someone says it's her real dad. The kid gets excited, runs toward him, trips, and rolls down the stairs just like her mom. Agile is enchanted seeing the kid, claiming she's as graceful and beautiful as her mother, but Roval isn't buying it. He looks at her with pure disgust. In the fairy world, seeing this makes Roval so angry he starts smashing the castle in the mirror. Origin calms him down, saying she understands the frustration of watching this mess without being able to help. Meanwhile, Agile brags about the kid's beauty, but Roval asks the butler if that child is actually his brother's. The confused man has no idea how to respond. Suddenly, Abel appears in the house calling his brother. Roval is shocked. The guy is the spitting image of their father. Abel approaches with tears in his eyes. Roval, moved, apologizes for leaving him alone for so long and notes how much he's grown. The reunion is ruined when Agile storms in, demanding Abel divorce her right now. Abel finally snaps, asking how she can spend the family fortune on luxuries when that money belongs to the people. Agile stares coldly, reminding him she's royalty and can't accept anything cheap because it insults her status. She says he should be grateful she's even there. Abel loses it, but Roval holds him back, telling him not to embarrass himself in front of everyone. He says they need to talk and declares he's going to the castle tomorrow. He orders Lauren to contact the Department of Justice. As Lauren rushes out, Abel asks why they need the authorities. Roval calmly replies that the divorce becomes official tomorrow. Agile smiles confidently, assuming Roval is finally taking her side. The brothers leave while Origin watches, horrified by Agile's cruel behavior. Later in private, Abel apologizes to his brother. He admits that woman walked all over him because he was weak. Roval tells him not to blame himself. Everything gets fixed tomorrow when those two get kicked out. Abel asks if they're evicting the kid too, admitting he doesn't even know if she's his, since he was drunk with despair at the wedding. Roval realizes his brother was trapped. Agile shamelessly confirms the girl isn't his daughter anyway. Roval suspects she's lying to escape responsibility, but it actually helps their case. He warns Abel to stay silent during the divorce registration, letting Agile incriminate herself with her own lies, since she's bound to mess up eventually. Abel agrees, but Roval apologizes again, feeling guilty for leaving him to defend the family honor alone and sacrificing his happiness. Abel asks where he's been this whole time. Roval says he lived in the spiritual kingdom, where he married someone important, Origin, the Queen of Spirits. He reveals they have a daughter named Ellen. He asks the butler Lauren to keep that secret for now. Moved by this, Abel confesses he also has a secret daughter with a woman he loves. Roval encourages him to bring them home once the witches are gone. Abel hesitates because his lover isn't nobility. Roval promises to help them stay together, regardless of what society thinks. Exhausted, Abel asks his brother to take command of the house, saying he proved he was unworthy over the last decade. Roval refuses, explaining he's a half-spirit now and humans need a human leader. Abel insists humans and spirits can coexist, begging him not to leave again. Lauren chimes in, saying Abel has been utterly alone since their father died. Working non-stop for the family, Roval stays silent while his wife and daughter watch him through the mirror. They decide to help, teleporting straight into the human world. Origin confronts him, asking why he's still hesitating. Ellen scolds him, saying she hates fathers who don't value family, striking Roval's heart. Then she introduces everyone. Lauren is charmed by the girl, and Roval can't defy his family. He promises not to disappear and will serve as Abel's assistant. It's an emotional moment. Lauren introduces himself to the girl, saying he's the head butler and asking her to call him grandfather. Ellen calls him grandpa, and the guy almost faints from joy. Roval protests, saying she isn't actually his granddaughter, but Lauren refuses to give up that affection after waiting years. Later, Roval advises his brother to testify tomorrow that he doesn't remember having a daughter with Agil. Since it's true, then he asks Origin to join the hearing. The Spirit Queen hugs him tight, leaving him visibly flustered. Ellen laughs and calls him a cultured pervert, and he asks where she learned that word. She proudly says she's a great student, making her dad laugh with pride. Abel watches the scene, wondering if this guy is really his brother. He had never seen him act so light-hearted. Realizing this is the real Roval he always admired, he beams with happiness. Meanwhile, the king finds out Roval is finally back. His advisors panic, wondering what to do about Agil since her marriage is toast and Roval hates her. The worried king summons Prince Ravasal and quickly fills him in on the whole messy situation. Ravasal says he already knows, and honestly, it's great news. The only problem is Agil. The king doubts Roval will forgive her. Ravasal reminds him he explicitly warned them not to give her any power. But the king ignored him, and now they're paying the price. He warns him not to tick off Roval since he's irreplaceable. And right now, this ends in only one way. Next morning, Roval storms the castle. The nervous king thanks him for his service and asks what he wants. Roval demands two things. Royalty stops meddling in his family affairs, and they immediately approve Abel's divorce filing from that crazy woman. Ravasal realizes the Vanries are about to cut ties with the crown. Roval calmly explains that, surprisingly, Agil was actually the one who requested the separation. The surprised king realizes this looks like an insult to the royals and fears a deeper conflict. The gathered nobles stare at Roval, asking why on earth Agil even wants a divorce. He calmly replies she wants another man. Seeing the king's shocked face, Ravasal decides to step in and speak for him. He grants Roval's request, but throws in a calculated proposal. Watching him, Ellen frowns and asks her mom who the villain is. Origin explains he is the crown prince who always disliked her dad, although she wonders why Ellen specifically called him a villain. Ellen firmly replies that she sees pure darkness inside him. Turning to Roval, Ravasal admits the family is essential for defense and asks him to lend his strength, not for the king, but for the citizens. Roval seriously replies he can't decide alone since he isn't the family head. Ravasal nods, saying he'll join the arbitration so they can just continue the conversation there. He thanks Roval for his service and leaves. Intrigued, Ellen notices Ravasal leaking dark energy and asks her mom what it means. Origin smiles, explaining that centuries ago, a king obsessed with power tried to summon and control spirits, which really ticked them off. That act enraged the spirits, cursing the entire royal family. Since then, they hold a spirit festival yearly, begging for lost forgiveness. But over time, descendants forgot the real reason, turning the ritual into a totally empty tradition. Only one person questioned the obvious hypocrisy, asking how they expected forgiveness with prayers that lacked any sincerity. That was Ellen's dad, who always saw things from a spirit's perspective. Origin confesses that's how she fell in love and forced him into a magic contract. Embarrassed, Ellen asks exactly how old he was then. Origin laughs, admitting he was 7. The girl widens her eyes, thinking they should call the FBI, making her mom chuckle. Meanwhile, back in the human world, Agil's divorce is finalized. The jury analyzes Roval's evidence and declares the separation is mutually desired by both parties. But Agil is the petitioner. She proudly confirms, claiming she'll remarry her former fiancé who finally returned to claim her. However, the judge clarifies that the engagement was already annulled. Indifferent, Agil states it doesn't even matter, since Roval returned for her and her daughter. He interrupts, explaining that is impossible. He spent 10 years away and the kid is 8. He adds the girl isn't Abel's daughter either, which Agil herself confirmed to the family. Based on this, the judge grants the divorce. He states Agil violated her vows through infidelity and financial abuse, completely breaking the oath of mutual support. Feeling triumphant, she assumes she can now freely marry Roval. But the judge drops a bomb. She is forbidden to remarry. Eiyuu panics and demands the reason. Suddenly, a seal forms beneath her, and luminous chains burn marks directly onto her body. The crowd kneels, recognizing the divine judgment of Baal. It is brutal. Eiyuu can never touch another man. Desperate, she runs to Roval for help, but hits a magic barrier. He coldly reminds her she's forbidden to touch him. Trapped, Eiyuu begs her dad for help, but he just shakes his head, saying he never imagined she would bring such public shame to them. Session over, she collapses in despair, trembling under everyone's gaze. Watching from afar, Origin wonders why the young prince stayed so silent, simply observing everything. The scene shifts. At the castle, Ravissel visits Roval's room, asking if the plan worked out. Satisfied, Roval confirms it did. His sister is finally restrained, and their father is forced to take responsibility, likely making him abdicate the throne soon. Roval mentions he found his family and lovely daughter. He asks if Ravissel wants to meet his son. The prince looks at him with disdain, and Roval tells him to stop playing around. He reminds him he got the king's reward and warns him to stay away from his family. Ravissel replies that he intends to withdraw temporarily. Roval stares, suggesting he make it permanent. He teleports home, still angry, and orders Lauren to summon Alberto immediately for a serious chat. In the office, Roval confronts Alberto with a mix of firmness and concern. He admits Alberto really did his best, but warns him never to take advantage of people's weaknesses. He adds that he is removed from Abel's service, and his work is effectively suspended immediately. Alberto understands, nodding in acknowledgement, and says goodbye to Roval, who is just irritated by the man's shady behavior. Later, Roval joins them. His emotional mother stands up, and he quickly apologizes for being away so long, knowing she waited. She never wanted him to marry that woman, even when he left for battle and might die. Roval is surprised by her insight, while she notes she never thought Eiyuu would latch onto his brother. Though she's happy he's finally free of her. Meanwhile, Abel orders Lauren to ship Eiyuu's stuff to the castle and asks where Alberto went. Lauren hesitates, but Roval explains he suspended Alberto for talking too much, warning that the man shouldn't be trusted with their family secrets at all. Mom asks for details, so he admits he married a spirit and has a daughter. Very few people knew, but Prince Ravissel requested his daughter meet his son. The royals were usually wary of spirits and avoided them, but the daring prince wants to break a curse. Lauren realizes Alberto tried to use Ellen as a bargaining chip. Angry, he asks if Roval wants him gone, since he fiercely protects his granddaughter. Roval says it isn't necessary. That defies their father's will. Alberto felt indebted and likely shared info to help with the Eiyuu situation. Abel apologizes, admitting everything happened because of his own massive incompetence. Roval tells him not to worry, at least they don't have to hide anymore. Just then, his mom asks to meet them. In the spirit world, Ellen asks her mom if she's scared to meet the mother-in-law. Origin replies there is no fear. If she hates her, she'll just leave. Ellen thinks that's typical behavior for her mother. Roval calls them, and everyone suddenly appears. He introduces his surprised mother to his family. Origin says she's happy to see her, mentioning that as the original queen, she's kind of a big deal. If the mother-in-law hates those titles, she must be crazy. He also introduces his granddaughter, first in line for the spirit throne. Ellen formally introduces herself to her grandmother, who is absolutely delighted by the future ruler's cuteness. She asks to call her grandma. Ellen felt weird about getting close so fast, but she decided to play along. She finally dropped the grandma bomb, which emotionally wrecked the old lady. Lauren watched the hug, declaring the kid the cutest thing alive. Embarrassed, Ellen called Lauren grandpa. Roval's mom asked if he got that title too. He admitted that hearing it made him feel decades younger. Soon after, the family sat down for dessert. Ellen was thrilled but paranoid this was a test, so she ate with aggressive elegance. Grandma was shocked, asking if spirits actually cared about table manners. Origin explained spirits don't eat, so Roval must have taught her. Ellen clarified that he didn't teach her either. Grandma tried to offer more sugar, but Roval shut it down, warning that Ellen would get sick of eating entirely, which would just depress everyone. Then things got serious. Abel asked his brother to help run the estate. Roval agreed but refused to command the knights. He also warned that they couldn't stay in the human world permanently. When asked why, Origin explained her powers spike here. Staying too long would accidentally turn the entire kingdom into an overgrown forest. Grandma asked if Ellen was a flower spirit too, but Origin clarified she was actually an elemental spirit. Seeing their confusion, Ellen explained that everything is made of elements, and she can basically remix them at will. To prove it, she turned a piece of coal into a diamond, stunning everyone. Even Roval admitted he didn't fully understand how she did that. Abel asked if she could make minerals, so Ellen casually spawned a massive pile of gold ingots. The family stared, imagining the insane possibilities of infinite money. Grandma called it reckless, but Roval suggested gifting the loot to her and using the gold to bail out the city's finances. Abel admitted Ellen's powers were incredible, though they needed precautions. Roval emphasized that's exactly why the royal family must never find out. His mother agreed to keep the secret. Now they just needed a cover story for the gold. Ellen asked if they owned a mine, suggesting they launder it through that. Grandma called the kid a genius and revealed they actually did own a small mine. Ellen was thrilled, planning to enhance the mine's output so the gold looked legit. The family noted she acted like an adult, which makes sense since she's actually a reincarnated scientist. She offered to help run the business, but Roval told her to chill out. Shortly after, Abel announced that Agil had finally vacated the premises, so it was time to celebrate her exit and Roval's return. They threw a banquet immediately, and everyone actually had a good time. Meanwhile, Alberto met Prince Ravasal, explaining he could no longer be his snitch. Since Roval suspended him, Ravasal wasn't surprised. He knew how Roval operated. He expected nothing less. However, he asked if Alberto had spoken to the daughter, because if so, he had one final favor. Back at the banquet, Roval and Origin said goodbye, claiming they had to return to the spirit world. Grandma and Lauren were bummed they were leaving so soon, but they immediately asked if Ellen could stay behind. Roval agreed, noting she lacked the power to accidentally sprout a forest. Origin asked if she wanted to stay. Ellen realized her dad just wanted alone time with Mom. So the kid decided to stay, and the parents bilayed immediately. Grandma noticed the kid was sleepy and sent her to bed, promising to tuck her in after a bath. Later, in the bedroom, Alberto crept in and woke her up to deliver a letter. Seeing the seal, she realized it was a personal invite from the prince. Ellen asked Alberto if he hated this family. Frustrated, he said that was impossible. She warned him that Roval was furious. He might think he's helping, but the family just sees it as dangerous interference. Ellen explained that being half-spirits made them priceless collectibles to the royals, which was obviously super disturbing. She clarified that if the royals didn't own their mistakes, the curse cycle would never end. They forgot they angered the spirits in the first place with their arrogance. She advised him to ghost the prince. If Roval found out, the consequences would be brutal and the prince wouldn't save him. He would just let him burn. If he was truly grateful to the family, he wouldn't make dangerous alliances. Alberto apologized profusely. Ellen let him know she was 100% sure her dad was watching them right now. Alberto got stressed, clenching his fists in frustration. She told him to chill, she would handle her dad. He wanted to warn the prince that Roval was furious, but she refused, burned the letter with magic and wished him good night. Next morning at breakfast, her grandparents were in a great mood. Her dad appeared, asking if she enjoyed the quality time with Mom. She said yes, but added that they needed to talk immediately. Ellen explained Alberto cut ties with the prince, so she wanted him reinstated. Roval tried to scold her, but Ellen knew he was hiding something too. Roval got nervous. His mom, Isabella, asked what on earth they were talking about. Ellen revealed Roval knew the prince would send a messenger. That's exactly why he left her there. Isabella demanded an explanation. Ellen said it was simple. Her dad was just being overprotective. He knew the prince would harass her now that he knows she exists. Roval knew she saw the letter, but Ellen reminded everyone she burned it without opening it, suggesting he should talk to Alberto directly. As they left, Lauren noted his granddaughter was sharp, and Roval definitely understood her hint. Roval agreed, since she burned the letter unread there was no proof. Meaning, there was no way to investigate Alberto's ties to the prince. Without evidence, Roval had to let it slide. Lauren said he was just like his father, and Roval grumbled that was exactly the problem. Meanwhile, at the royal castle, Ravasal smirked when he heard the letter was burned unread. Alberto resigned, but Ravasal was ecstatic, totally fascinated by the little girl's bold move. This just fed his obsession. He was desperate to know why the royals couldn't make spirit contracts, and he was determined to force the answer out of her. And so, the drama continues. Minutes later, Roval summoned Alberto, asking exactly what went down with Prince Ravissel. Alberto swore he had severed all ties with him. Roval noted that Alberto probably thought he was helping, but in reality, he just put a target on Ellen's back. Still, Ellen insisted Roval speak to him, or she'd give him the silent treatment. He revealed she burned the letter unread. Destroying the evidence, Alberto realized the kid had just saved his skin. Roval informed him that thanks to Ellen he was reinstated. Alberto was shocked. Roval added that reinstatement didn't mean trust. He'd be watching him like a hawk as he left the room. Alberto remembered how Roval's father saved him on the battlefield, a choice that cost the man his life. He felt indebted, thinking a royal alliance was the best way to repay it. He was wrong. Meanwhile, Ellen was eating with her grandparents. Roval arrived, announcing he had handled the Alberto situation. She coldly ignored him. He begged for attention, reminding her he did exactly what she asked. Ellen warned him to brief the servants on spirit rules, so nobody else would make the same dumb mistake Alberto did. He knew she was right. He told her that since he admitted his mistakes, she shouldn't be mad. The grandparents laughed, wondering who the actual parent was. Ellen kept scolding him, even if he meant well. Using her caused collateral damage. Next time she expects a heads up before he uses her as bait. She also asked for advice on how to handle that absolute creep Prince Rael, calling him petty, envious and spiteful. Roval laughed, agreeing she nailed the description, though he acted offended when she said he had a black heart too. The grandparents burst into laughter as Roval dramatically complained that her words were hurting his feelings. Later, Grandpa told the staff to entertain his precious granddaughter Ellen with their lives. The moment he finished speaking, the servants scattered and vanished into thin air. Basically, they were playing extreme hide and seek. Without wasting a second, Ellen went hunting for them. But the old man and the staff were basically ninjas, dodging her every move and leaving her totally frustrated. No matter where she looked, she couldn't find a single soul, which really ticked her off. Seeing this, her grandfather offered his services as the world's greatest detective. The old man immediately ratted out where everyone was hiding. Not wanting to be left out, Roval joined in, running around with a big mouth. He exposed every single hiding spot he could find. These people took the game way too seriously. They were moving like secret agents. When the game ended, Ellen told her dad he wasn't actually invited to play. Roval felt rejected, but she didn't care, asking the servants to play another round. This time without her dad's interruptions. He went back to counting while Roval begged to be let back in. The girl just ignored him, and when he tried to join anyway, he got a slap on the hand. The grandparents watched the chaos, commenting that Ellen's presence filled them with pure joy. At sunset, the game ended. Ellen said goodbye to her grandmother and her adoptive grandfather. Her uncle Abel told her she was always welcome there. Before leaving, Ellen said goodbye to Alberto, who thanked her for saving his skin earlier. Ellen brushed it off as nothing and gave him a polite farewell kiss on the cheek. Just like she did with Uncle Abel, Roval, however, told her to go ahead without him since he had some business to discuss with his brother. Scene change. The brothers wondered how to handle the massive pile of illegal gold bars. They could use the mine to launder it, but they would need to pass an inspection first. Abel told his brother that ever since Roval returned, his luck had totally flipped. Roval asked who exactly stole his heart. Abel admitted she was actually a waitress working at the local town restaurant. He said her name was Aria and she had a daughter named Raphilia, who was about the same age as Ellen. Lauren recommended bringing Lady Aria to the house immediately. Abel asked why the rush, and they reminded him that Ellen was currently the only heir to the Vanry family. She was also the heir to the fairy kingdom. If the Vanry family had no other heirs, they'd have to inform the royals, and they were certain that once Ravissel took the throne, he would do everything to issue a decree forcing Ellen to marry the prince. Abel noted that normally you have to wait 3 years after a divorce to remarry. But his divorce from Agil was special, so he was legally clear to marry right now. Lauren advised him to get his partner immediately, and he agreed. Meanwhile, at the royal castle, Ravissel smiled while watching his son. Next day, Aria and her daughter arrived at the estate. Abel welcomed them and introduced them to his brother. Roval introduced himself with total disinterest, while Aria stared like she just saw a snack. Roval walked away, but she kept watching him. They went to introduce her to the rest of the family. Later, when they met in the living room, she gazed at Roval with total admiration. Something suspicious was going on. Either Arya was already Roval's lover, or she had fallen in love at first sight. They had to keep watching. The day went on. When they bumped into each other, Roval looked away awkwardly while Arya clasped her hands like a fangirl. In the spirit realm, Roval mentioned his dad was really helping Uncle Abel out. Although Queen Origin seemed rather salty, since her beloved Roval was suddenly surrounded by women. Ellen reminded her he was just helping his uncle, but then Roval joined them. Origin showed her displeasure. He asked what was wrong. She revealed her mother hated that he was surrounded by alcohol and women. Roval said he hated it too, but he had no choice while trying to avoid them. Origin knew that, but she pointed out he had been out drinking a lot lately. Roval apologized, promising to spend more time with her. After some smooth talking, he managed to convince her. Ellen, feeling sleepy, said goodbye. Her dad stopped her, saying the wedding date was set and the royal family would probably show up to ruin it. So he asked Ellen to stay hidden in the spiritual world. She agreed, mostly because she didn't want to see Ravasol. Origin asked if he really had to go. Roval said he needed to prove to everyone that Abel had a partner, though he hated other men seeing his wife. Realizing her parents were getting too affectionate, Ellen decided to leave. The next day, Roval confirmed the royal family would indeed attend the wedding. Despite all the chaos Agil caused, they still had the nerve to come. They actually had the courage to show up. Roval said his daughter wouldn't attend to avoid drama. Abel agreed, even though he knew the grandparents would be super disappointed. At that moment, Arya entered with tea, having insisted that Lauren let her do the serving. While pouring, she stared intently at Roval. He thanked her indifferently while she continued to creep on him. "Mister?" Abel asked for his cup. She handed it to him and he dismissed her while she kept staring at Roval in a daze. Origin, watching this, lost her mind, asking Ellen if she'd prefer to burn the world or just drown it. Ellen, desperate, she told her mom to chill, since that woman was marrying Uncle Abel. Right, so she seriously doubted she would go after her dad. Origin asked if the woman was attractive. Ellen bluntly replied she was a solid 5. While her mom was a 10, basically there was zero competition. Though both noticed Arya was staring way too much, they were sure Roval noticed and was doing his best to dodge her. Next day, guests arrived at the church. Roval and Origin teleported in. When they appeared in the bridal room, Arya was shocked he had a +1. Roval apologized for not introducing her earlier, revealing this was his wife. Arya looked totally intimidated. Ellen watched, hoping this reality check would make the woman stop creeping on her dad. Later, during the ceremony, Roval pointed out that the people seated at the top were the royal family. First Prince Gabriel, second Prince Ravasol, Princess Sally, plus the newly crowned king and queen. Ellen noticed Ravasol was leaking dark energy, and so was the rest of his shady family. Then, Abel and Arya moved toward the altar. Ellen didn't seem very happy. To say the least, the priest asked if they swore to be together for eternity. They both swore, however when Arya was about to sign, something stopped her. Roval, Origin and Ellen noticed it. It was definitely Baal's judgment kicking in. Ravasol smiled, having noticed it too. He quickly started plotting. If people found out she was judged by the goddess, the marriage would be annulled, and rumors would spread that the Vanrys were cursed. Ellen wondered how to distract everyone. She had the brilliant idea to make it rain diamonds to divert attention. People thought the house was being blessed. Roval and Origin knew it was Ellen. He told his son the house was blessed by spirits. Satisfied, Ellen decided to leave. But before she vanished, Gabriel spotted her. He fell in love instantly, and that wraps up the video.